Hidden in the wooded hills of southern Wisconsin, a great span of pale sandstone arches over the forest floor, carved not by human hands but by wind, water, and ice across unimaginable stretches of time. And in the shelter of stone beneath it, people once warmed themselves by fire at the very end of the last ice age. This quiet, out-of-the-way place holds both the largest natural arch in the state and some of the oldest evidence of human life in the whole upper Midwest. Welcome to Natural Bridge State Park. We are in Sauk County, in the rolling country of southern Wisconsin, a short drive west of the little town of Leland. This is a small state park, less than 500 acres of oak woodland and hillside, with no campground and few crowds. But tucked into its trees is a landmark that people have been drawn to for more than 10,000 years. At the heart of the park stands the natural bridge itself, the largest natural sandstone arch in Wisconsin. The opening beneath it rises about 25 feet high and stretches some 35 feet wide, a graceful window of rock framing the forest beyond. Standing under that span, it is easy to feel very small and very briefly present beneath something so old. Just below the arch, the cliff curves inward to form a deep overhang known as the Remnants rock shelter. It is a natural room in the rock, open to the south, shielded from wind and rain, warmed by the sun. For anyone crossing this land in ages past, it was a perfect place to stop, to rest, and to build a fire. And people did again and again for thousands of years. The rock itself is almost beyond imagining in age. This is Cambrian sandstone, laid down as sand more than 500 million years ago, when this part of the continent lay beneath a shallow sea. Over the ages that followed, wind, trickling water, and the endless push and crack of freeze and thaw slowly wore the soft stone away, hollowing out the shelter and opening the great arch grain by grain. This corner of Wisconsin belongs to a remarkable region called the Driftless Area. When the great glaciers of the last ice age ground across the Midwest, flattening hills and filling valleys, they somehow passed this pocket by. The land here was never scraped smooth. So its deep valleys, its rugged bluffs, and its ancient rock formations like this one survive as a rare glimpse of a much older landscape. In the middle of the 20th century, archaeologists came to the shelter beneath the arch and began carefully digging down through its floor. Layer by layer, they peeled back the packed earth, and layer by layer it gave up its story. Charcoal from old fires, chipped stone tools, the bones of hunted animals, each stratum a page reaching further and further back into time. What they found was astonishing. The evidence of human use here reaches back roughly 10 to 12,000 years, to the Paleo-Indian peoples who lived at the close of the last ice age. It makes the Remnants rock shelter one of the oldest documented sites of human presence anywhere in the upper Midwest. A single spot of ground used by people across nearly the entire span of human history on this continent. Picture the world of those first visitors. The great ice sheets were only just retreating to the north. The land was cold and open, roamed by animals we would scarcely recognize today. Small bands of hunters moved across it, following the game, and when they came to this sheltering rock, they stopped here, as generations after them would, drawn by warmth and safety in the lee of the stone. The people's bond with this land never broke. This is the ancestral country of the Ho-Chunk Nation, whose deep roots in southern Wisconsin stretch back through countless generations, along with other native peoples before and beside them. For them, these bluffs and shelters were never mere scenery but home, a landscape woven with memory, meaning, and long belonging. Today the park is cloaked in forest. Oaks spread their broad crowns over the hillsides, shading a floor of ferns and fallen leaves, and the trail winds quietly beneath them from the arch to the ridgetops above. In spring, the woods are soft and green, dappled with light, the kind of gentle forest that invites you to slow your pace and simply look around. On the drier, sunlit slopes, small remnants of native prairie still cling to the thin soil over the rock. Here the grasses give way to scattered wildflowers, blooming in their season across the open ground. These little pockets of prairie are living survivors, fragments of the grasslands that once flowed across this region, now sheltered among the trees and bluffs. The park hums with quiet life. Deer step softly through the oaks, birdsong drifts down from the canopy, and squirrels and chipmunks rustle in the leaf litter. Butterflies pass over the wildflowers on the warm slopes. It is an ordinary, thriving woodland, and yet it wraps around a place of the deepest human antiquity, the wild and the ancient bound together. There is something fitting in how peaceful this place remains. No grand visitor center, no crowds, just a small parking area, a trailhead, and a path into the trees. You can walk the loop to the arch and the shelter and often have it almost to yourself, alone with the forest, the pale rock, and the long silence of deep time. To stand in the shelter beneath this arch is to stand exactly where people stood at the end of the Ice Age, warmed by the same south-facing rock, sheltered by the same stone. 10,000 years and more press in around you, and for a moment the whole vast span of it feels close enough to touch, here in the quiet under the great Sandstone bridge. A great arch carved by wind and ice, a warm shelter of stone, and the footsteps of some of the first people ever to walk this land. Natural Bridge State Park holds a quiet corner of the world where deep time comes remarkably close. Thank you for watching. Follow for more interesting people, places, and things we cover on the channel.